another unknown chi-fi that actually sounds good. Hello and welcome to After Sound Review, and this is my review for I'm not sure, Juzear's 41T. And first of all, thank you for Mr. Harmoko for providing me with this review unit. And it's an IM from, it's a chi-fi IM that costs around $160 and using one dynamic driver and 4 balance armature that lately has been gaining some kind of popularity in some forums out there. But yeah, it's still really rare to see this in my local market or any hi-fi forums. So just like usual, I will break this review from the build, fit, frequency response, sound, and comparison. It looks gorgeous for me. I don't know why, but I really like this kind of presentation. Very neat, clear crystal kind of presentation with just a little bit of logo here. I don't know, it just really looks like a high quality resin, and it's using 2 pin connectors here with this thick cable. And thankfully, even though the cable is quite thick, but it's not really microphonics and it's actually quite flexible like this. And the jack is fully gold like this. I need to warn you a bit regarding the ergonomics because I need you to see this. The nozzle part is actually quite small and short compared to its body. You could see that this part is quite big while this part is kind of short. And let me show you its default stock tips. This is really short. You could see the stem is a little bit deeper than the overall umbrella part. So when I'm using only the stock tips, it simply looks like this. See how short it is from this area to the tip of the nozzle. Using this default stock tips, I couldn't really get a proper seal, I couldn't really get a proper fit. So I'm using something like this Acoustune AET08 or simply Spin Fit or Soft Ears Ultra Clear or Final Type E. This long ear tips will definitely help you with the fit, just like me. Using Soft Ears Ultra Clear or the Final Type E, I have no problem using them for hours, but maybe it's just because I have a small ears. The ear gate itself is not really in line with my ear. Now let's take a look at the frequency response here. I would somehow categorize this kind of frequency response as maybe neutral with just a little bit of sub bass boost or simply a warm IM. Well, you could see that the elevation here, it's really linear, it's gliding towards the sub bass area. It's not really a lot of bass there, but you can see that it's definitely not neutral. It has nice elevation in the bass area, and after that there's a moderate ear gain around 2 to 3k, but there's also a dip around 5k that's somehow giving me this kind of smoothness over the vocal edge. And after that, the treble is actually quite linearly extended, but there's no sudden peaks here or there or any kind of elevation that's giving this IM energy around the upper mid-range to treble area. So yeah, I would say that somehow this IM, I perceive this maybe neutral warm. Starting from the bass area, there's not a lot of things that I could say about this bass. It's just a simply nice deep bass with kind of good texture. You could actually tell there's a dynamic driver working in the driver configuration there, but the energy, it's definitely not bass head. But for me, actually, I'm not a really bass head, so that's kind of okay for music such as pop and top 40 musics. But for EDMs, it might lack a little bit of more punch and energy down there. Well, the mid-range area is definitely smooth sounding mid-range. Whether you play male or female or even you hearing some instruments there, it sounds really smooth. But honestly, it's not really neutral for me. It still lacks a little bit of upper mid-range. It's still in the warm-ish kind of area. It's really smooth, and even I do think that it is too smooth. For example, maybe because of that dip around 5k, it's softening some edge from the vocals. Usually when I'm hearing some music like rock music or metal music, I need that kind of fairness from their vocal, but hearing those kind of songs through this IM feels too smooth. And I do honestly feel that it lacking some energy. For example, when I'm hearing Kiala Settle, This Is Me, the soundtrack from The Greatest Showman, or even some female singers from Japan like Lisa, she screams a lot in her music. You want to feel those screams, you want to feel those energy, but in this IM it sounds smooth and a little bit restrained in the energy of the vocal. Well, thankfully in the treble area, even though it's still in the smooth kind of things, it's still smooth. I would definitely not gonna say that this is a harsh treble, but the extension and actual detail of the treble is actually decent. So I'm not missing a note when I'm hearing violins or some orchestral music, but it's just smooth, and I do feel maybe it's a little bit lacking bite for fierce music. So tonal wise, I would say this is an IM with a very smooth and balanced signature across all the frequency, but it lacks dynamic, it lacks impact, and for me it's lacking some transient edge here. The transient edge is a bit blunted to the point that this IM doesn't feel really high in resolution and thus feels a little bit blunted in transient attacks. So yeah, maybe if you like some soft kind of tonality, this IM could give you that, but if you want something more fierce and impactful, this IM will sound too smooth for some people. Honestly, the technicality is quite good, even though it has this kind of soft attack that really limiting its resolution and impact. But for me, the actual separation and actually details, because the frequency is really balanced and extended across the board, there's a lot of details in this IM. It's just not jumping out of you. It's not just it's not really elevated. The detail is there, but it's not really a lot, and also the separation is quite good actually. So when I'm hearing some orchestral music or some busy tracks, it could definitely separate them nicely. It's just the impact and resolution, it's just not really jump out at you. And well, the soundstage itself is not really three-dimensional, it's more of a wide kind of soundstage, so it's more left and right section, but actually that's it. Well, honestly, in terms of comparison, I will compare them with one of my favorite IM around this price point, that is the Shuoer S12 Pro. For me, the Shuoer S12 Pro is like the opposite of this IM. The Shuoer S12 Pro has much more energy in the bass area, and also there's a lot of energy in the treble area that can make some people sounds simply intense in the treble area. It's maybe a little bit spiky, a little bit too hot for some people. While this IM is the complete opposite of it. It sounds smooth and much warmer and more mellow, both in all area in bass, mid-range, or the treble area. It feels more mellow, but it doesn't lose its separation and details actually. But I would say that definitely the Shuoer S12 Pro is the more engaging one. It's more impactful with higher resolution and transient edge, while this one is simply for those who are maybe looking for the opposite of the Shuoer S12 Pro. Now, not gonna lie, it reminds me of one IM around $110, which is the Dunu Kima. Well, the Dunu Kima also have a really smooth and balanced kind of signature with, for me, more proper ear gain area around 2 to 3 kHz. But the thing is, this IM is definitely outclassed Dunu Kima in terms of separation and overall detail. I do feel this IM has more extension in the treble area that is more noticeable. So maybe if you like something that sounds like Dunu Kima, but maybe a little bit more warm but better details and better separation overall, this might be the one that you might seek. So as an overall, this IM is nice, and for me that's kind of surprising because I have never heard of this brand before. But the tuning is really neat. It's really balanced all across the board. It's just for me, for my personal preference, it's just not engaging enough, both in the bass and also the treble area, and also the ear gain area is not. It's just a little bit too low for my likings. But nevertheless, if you want something that sounds somehow laid back and, you know, with a lot of detail still around this price point, maybe this is one of the things that you would like. And also one thing that I also appreciate from this IM is it has a really nice timbre and also good coherency. And for me, for a new company, that is really promising. And this is one of the things that I encourage you to try. If you have any occasion, you could try them. But it's just for my personal preference, it's just simply not engaging them. So this is my final score for its tonal and its technical. And I hope you enjoyed this review, and see you next time. Bye bye.